Hi, Mike Jinung here. Welcome to day 17 of 30 Days of Prayer. And before we kind of get into it, in yesterday's message, as you saw, I was shooting in the desert, and one of the risks of being in the desert, you just never know what's going to happen. And right, into that message, something went up my shirt and bit me, and so I don't know if you remember seeing, but I did this. I was kind of like, I almost stopped the recording to take a break, but just kept going, and I don't know. I just kind of wondered if maybe the enemy didn't want that message going out, but who knows. So I want to start today by reading off from 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6. For I am mindful of the sincere faith within you, which first dwelt in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I am sure that it is in you as well. For this reason I remind you to kindle afresh the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. And actually I started at verse 5. These verses for everyone to fan to flame the gift they've been given to God, for men and women. And for today's message, I'm speaking to women. And I want you to know that you have a very key role to play in the church. In biblical history, in the book of Judges, there was a time where the men were apparently weak of character, and this was when they went up against Sisera's army. Deborah was a woman who was leading the nation of Israel at the time, and then the general of Israel's army came to her and asked if she would go with him in the battle, which to me is so embarrassing when I read that, because I'm not going to ask for mommy to go with me if I'm a warrior. And then so she goes with him, and then he doesn't even get the glory for taking out the opposing army's general. It was Jael, the woman in the tent. And then you fast forward to Jesus' time when he's crucified. Who was it that had the courage to go with him to the cross? Every disciple but one, John, was there with him as he died. The rest of them were all women. Mary, and I think it was Mary Magdalene and Mary, his mother. So they were ministering to Jesus in his death. I mean, that's a big deal. And you see Jesus ministering to prostitutes. Women were supporting him, and there's other places where women have played a key role in biblical history. And a couple years ago, Beth Moore came out with a blog post, and she takes a lot of flack for her theology, and I really don't know much about. I have not taken the time to read up on everything she says. But this one post came across my attention, where she said that there was this guy who was this big-time theologian who she had a lot of respect for, and she told the story where she met the guy and was looking forward to it, and she approached him, and he looked her up and down as grazing his eyes over her body, and then he said, well, you're a lot more attractive than, and he used the word of another female Christian minister. So setting her theology aside, a lot of women have been marginalized in the church. I'm not here to get into arguments about what positions they have, but what I am here to say today is some of you have some gifts and some things God has burned into your heart, and I want to encourage you and challenge you to go with whatever God is giving you, whatever mission he has given in front of you, no matter what that is, as long as you're sure it's from him. a lot of women, I believe women are the key to the porn epidemic, because it's most of the time it's because a guy got caught by his wife that he decides to get help. Women are the ones that are praying her husbands through the whole mess. I've been in prayer meetings with wives, and I'm like, wow. You get me in a group of, in a prayer meeting, and that's sitting with, because they pray from their heart. Sometimes men I've heard men pray, they pray like these little mini sermons from the head. Ladies, some of you have a fantastic gift for prayer, and we need you to put that into use, to burn it up. Maybe getting other women together for prayer meetings. Maybe God's calling you to, and I've seen this happen before, take a couple other women and go to the pastor of church and say, we really need to deal with whatever issue God puts on your heart, whether it has to do with sex or something else. But what I want to say to you right now is, do not hold back. We need everyone on the front lines right now. And being on the front lines isn't necessarily being, you're out in the public or making videos in the desert. Being on the front lines could mean you're on your knees a couple hours a day. It can mean a lot of different things. The main thing is, if God has equipped you or burned something in your heart, don't hold it back anymore. In yesterday's video, I shared how there are, sadly, some pastors who God's work stops at a certain point with certain issues. And I really hate bringing that up, because I don't want to come across like we're attacking anyone. I'm not. But it's just what we see over and over again. And sometimes you ladies have been the game changers. And I want men to stand up. I want men to be the fighters. But we have to also be honest with what's going on today, that there's some big holes, and we need you ladies to start speaking out more. We need you to start filling in some of the gaps. We need you to start challenging some of your husbands to get off the sidelines and maybe decrease their time with whatever sports, football, entertainment. I don't want to be, okay, let's not take this out of context here. I'm not saying tell your husband not to ever have fun again, because, we all need to have time to just release and charge our batteries. That's not what I'm saying. But, if he spends 8 hours a day, or not at 8 hours a day, but if he'll spend 8 hours on a Sunday staring at the TV, not the best thing. So we need some of you wives to speak up a little more at home. Sometimes it's the wife who's provoking, or not provoking, but the wife who's really spurring on more prayer at the home. Sometimes it's the wife who's the spiritual leader at the home. I hate to say that, but it's the way it is. Fan that gift to flame. Step into it. Whatever God has given you, wherever you are, make it, roll with it. And this is not meant to men bash. I'm a man, so I challenge men all the time to take things to the next level, to be fighters and warriors, but I also see that there are a lot of men that are checked out. So ladies, this is no longer the time for you to sit back. If God's burned something onto your heart, go for it. So today, let's pray as a body that God would, as we just read in this book, fan the gifts that we've been given, burn them up, blow them up, for men and women, but let's also focus on the women too and not forget them. Let's burn up those gifts we've been given. Let's light the skies up with prayer. Let's turn into prayer warriors and intercessors and fighters. And the more people we can get doing that, the better. Thank you.